Hey everybody, Gnashing of Teeth. I'm Casey.
And I'm Milo.
What's up, G? How are you?
Good. Ready to get at it. I have an extra long weekend this weekend.
How'd
I
you
have
spend?
Monday off.
Good for you. Vacate? You put in a vacation day, or is it is it a holiday?
No, it's a vacation day.
Good for
I just
you.
sloughed it off.
Yeah, you have so much vacay piled up, right? That you just take a day here.
Hmm.
And I think there's a holiday in May, like what Memorial Day, maybe.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
think we. I think
29th.
there you go. Another 3 day weekend. Episode G. Check it out, G. Episode 20. Come on now. 20.
20.
That's a big deal.
Yeah. Consistency, fifth of the way to 100.
Tw- It's a big deal. Let me adjust my camera a little bit. I don't know. Well, okay, 3 day. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do on 3 days?
I'm helping my sister build a play set right now.
Oh, cool.
So it's not the most exciting thing, but I get to hang out with some fam,
There you go.
probably get
Yeah.
pizza and stuff. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
it's good.
yeah. So at my work, I work with food, right? And
Yeah.
so I go there and I eat breakfast and I literally have lunch there and I bring home like dinner. And we've been doing Philly cheesesteaks every day. And I've just been eating Philly cheesesteaks like it's going out of style. So today they came out to me and they said, "You taking Philly cheesesteak home?" And I said, "No, I can't. I'm gonna do pizza or something even worse for me." But there you go. It's
Yeah,
a great, it's a great perk. It's a great perk. I never have to worry about food. Uh,
for sure.
so same thing with me. I might do a pie. I don't know.
Yeah, there you go.
I might just order a bunch of. I was saying this earlier. I was gonna order a bunch of lobsters and let them just crawl around the floor. And then whenever I'm hungry, I just pick one up and boil it. You know what I mean? A play set like a play set that's outside.
Yeah, like the whole nine. Like it comes in a bunch of boxes, a
Hmm.
bunch of
Yeah.
pieces. Like there's literally like 100 some steps, and oh my gosh, it's so bad. But we're on like step 60, so like we're over halfway done. So
There you go. There you go.
yeah,
Yeah, I had a swing set in my backyard growing up. It was the go-to. It was the go-to. You just went to it, and swinging's fun. Still is.
yeah,
You ever seen those ones at the fair that just go in a circle and you start getting like sideways? It's like just a giant swing that just goes in a circle,
yeah,
like moves up and man.
yeah.
That's a little. I can't do that, but anyway, sounds good. Before we get into our topic, Moontooth is coming to a city nearby in October, and I am stoked to go see Moontooth. Nick Lee, baby. Nick Lee's the man on that guitar. Just saying.
Yeah. Whatever's your style, whatever you enjoy.
So you and I were talking about, the Canaanite and how it evolved and things like that. And then you and I offline, we started talking about, Christianity and the foundations of that because,
Mhm.
we're fans of Jesus and we're fans of Christianity. Um, everything they taught, New Testament, Old Testament, a little stricter, but or a lot stricter, but really good lessons. And it's actually a really good blueprint to follow to be a good human being, honestly. But we were talking like, okay, what was pre that? And that's when you start getting into like agnostic or Gnosticism or Gnosticism. I don't know how we say. I think it's Gnosticism because it's agnostic, right? And depending on who you kind of are, depending on who you are, what are you looking at? Are you just thinking?
I'm 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 just yeah.
You just
Yeah, keep
you're
going.
soak
We're
you're
good.
soaking in my train wreck that you're not going to edit. So basically, it kind of goes like this. I have to get after you. Hey, no, what are you drinking? What are you drinking tonight? I'm sorry. Can I guess?
I actually I go for it.
You changed it up. You said I actually, so you changed it up. So you're doing, I bet you're doing soda and water. Watch this. What are you doing?
So I'm I'm doing the water,
Yeah.
obviously.
Yeah. You like water? Yeah, it's good. Water's good for you.
I'm doing a Pepsi,
Soda and water. See, I know this kid.
but
What?
but oh,
The
I
blue
have
game.
three
I
I
should
have
have,
three different drinks.
I should have known the blue Gatorade. Is it the Arctic Blast or is it the,
It's the cool blue. I'm still on them. I
you're
bought like
still, yeah, good for you. Good for you.
I know.
It is good. Gatorade is like really refreshing.
Yeah.
Um, so let's talk about it. So it's pronounced Gnosticism. Am I correct or am I wrong?
I think you're correct.
Yeah.
Gnosticism, yeah.
Yeah. So depending on kind of what it depends on kind of what scholar you're reading or what book you're reading. There's a lot of like there's the agnostic atheist, there's the agnostic theologist or there's there's they've actually branched agnostic around quite a bit. There's a lot of different things you can do, but the gist of it is there's some people who say, hey, there could be a God, but I can't prove it. I'm not against it. I just can't prove it. Therefore, I'm agnostic. I'm not going to tell you to go believe it because I can't prove it to you.
Mhm.
There's also the agnostic that's very similar. That's like, uh, there isn't a God because I can't prove it. So, there's one side that's like, I want you to believe, but I can't
Mhm.
prove it. And there's another side that says, well, you can't believe because I can't prove it. So it kind of goes down to like what, like the science of it. So there's an atheist part, and then there's like a the like a philosophy part or like yeah, it's kind of what everything I was researching and getting into some occult books. That's kind of what
Okay,
where it's
so
leading me. That's what I was seeing.
this might be this might be an interesting um topic because I think we're thinking of two different topics.
Are we really?
Yeah. So this might be interesting. So you're going down the agnostic route,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I'm doing
Well,
Gnosticism.
yeah, GNOT.
G N O GNOST.
Yeah, yeah. That's what I'm looking at. Same thing. Well, roll with what you got. And let me see if things start ringing a bell.
No, because now I'm interested. How does agnostic relate to the topic of Gnosticism? Because now I'm interested, and I'll edit it out.
You don't
I'll
have to.
edit this out.
No, don't edit nothing. Leave it. You leave it. We need help here. You know. Um, I I don't think it's two different things because I wasn't typing in agnostic. I was typing in Gnosticism. I was looking up Gnosticism in the back pages and finding it in the occult books and reading what some of the authors were saying. I don't I don't remember because we crammed this stuff during the week, right? So I could probably, you know what I need to do is like leave it out. But you saw
Okay,
my place is a mess. So just roll with what you have and let's see if we can't piece it together.
okay. So Gnosticism with GNOSTICISM started blooming around 200 AD after death in the kind of Greco-Roman world. And it's important to realize that there was many different sects, as they call it, SECTS
Yep.
groups. You know? Um, and it was generally the belief that there was like a very lesser God, and he was known as the creator, and they called him the demiurge.
The demiurge.
And
Okay, so
there was
real quick, we're on the same subject because
okay,
everything I was looking up, demiurge came in there. That's why I said, depending on the book, depending on the scholar, This subject can branch many directions. I said that. The demiurge came up in all my stuff too.
Okay. Okay.
We're on the same page,
Okay.
dude. We're on the
Okay.
same page, G. We're good.
Okay. 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 So so there's the idea of a lesser god, aka the demiurge, and then there's the ultimate transcendent god that's very distant and very far away. And there's many, many different theories and ideas and movements surrounding it, especially at the time. And I think we can cover like a couple of the deities that are involved in it and the most popular ones, I should say. So two most popular sects, as they call it, are the Ophites and the Sethians. Right? I don't know if you've ever heard of like this dude named Seth. So Seth. You ever heard of him?
There's a band called Seth. So I heard of the name through them, and they're a black metal band. They're incredible. And they have an album. It's all in French, so I don't know how to pronounce it, but the album is called The Bite of Christ. And I wondered where they got the name Seth. Oddly enough, yeah. So I have heard of him. I don't know anything about Seth, but yeah, there's people representing Seth.
Okay. So Seth was apparently like the third son of like Adam and Eve.
Oh, okay.
So, and kind of the idea was that he and Christ were kind of the two people that came and really kind of taught the true idea of God and not like the lesser God that we think of, which is quote unquote Yahweh in Genesis and things like that. So you have the ultimate creator, dude. I'm not sure if they have a name for him. I just always say ultimate creator. And he in his image created an entity named Barbello. Barbelo. And
Are these angels that have been demonized, or is this who like where do we put these? Where do we put them? Are they in the Goetia?
this is
Yeah, is this where do we put these guys? I gotta put them somewhere. Like where? Like are they Canaanite? What are they? They're Gnostic.
no,
Like what?
they're their own category, you know.
Their own? Yeah.
Barbella. So I could get this wrong, but Barbello, or in some instances, wait, do I want to say that? Okay, let me finish with Barbello and then get into Sophia because Sophia is a big one. But basically, Barbello was like the first ultimate creation by the ultimate God. And there's something called Sophia, which is very popular in Gnosticism. And she was the entity that essentially they call them aeons,
Yeah, yeah.
just for reference. And
Can we?
she created,
Is that they spell that Aeons aeons?
yes,
Yeah, okay,
yes,
yeah, yeah. Just for reference, just so we know what. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
yeah.
Sorry, G. I'm sorry, G. You know what I do? I
So
just hop in and I start talking.
it's fine. It's fine. So Sophia wanted to create like the ultimate creator God, right? And she didn't, from what I've gathered, didn't like seek approval or anything. She just kind of went and ran with it and
Mhm.
tried to like be a creator of sorts. And essentially she created, you know, the quote unquote demiurge, but I think there's a name for it. It's like Yaldabaoth.
Wow.
And this thing is like it like translates to like a lion's head with a serpent body. And this thing is like nasty and you know prideful, and that is apparently who the God in Genesis is. You know, he came down and he created the material world, and he trapped us and created archons, which are angels, and he basically had a playground. And I don't want to confuse Barbello and Sophia, but I'm pretty sure Sophia tried to hide the whole creation because she didn't want the perfect spirit. And that's what Liber Lilith, the book Liber Lilith references. This entity is the perfect spirit. But the ultimate creator God, Sophia, tried to hide this demiurge from it. But obviously, presumably the ultimate God figured out, because that's why we had, Christ and Seth to come down and teach. It's a it's a it's an interesting thought and concept, and I just want to,
If
before I close this off and we can go into discussion, before you even speak,
okay, sorry.
to to bring this back to Kelly, Edward Kelly, and John D.
Hey, good for you. Nice.
I just want to point this out. The angels told Kelly that Adam and Eve was real, but in a different sense. So it's interesting to compare how Gnosticism looks at Adam and Eve as not created by, Yahweh and the Christian God, but by this Yaldabaoth, this demiurge that's like evil, and it's not whom you should worship. I'm just throwing it out there. Just throwing it out there.
So what's the definition of the demiurge? What does that mean?
I don't know. I don't know. It's a cool name.
It's a cool name. It's like it's not a person. It's a group. The demiurge is like a title of what, a group of people, or like what is it? Do we know? I mean,
I say I don't know.
yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I ran across that word a lot in some of the stuff I was looking at, but yeah, it sounded like something out of Stranger Things. I thought, we're in the upside
Yeah.
down. We have to fight the demiurge. It's like, okay, all right.
Yeah.
Stranger Things. You like Stranger Things? Pretty good.
I I I do. I do. I do. I haven't watched the newest season, but I don't have time to watch TV.
I don't know. I the first two were good, and then after that I fell off because I don't care. Um, I there is a lot of, and I don't want to get too far off. There is a lot of speculation of the Bible and how the Old Testament and the New Testament definitely have different gods. Because like God did a 360 if 180 if he's the same guy.
Mhm.
So a lot of that theory in these different sects and these different theories and different religions, even the Sumerians have it. Even the Sumerians are like, Enlil hated us and came down here, and that was the Old Testament God. Eye for an eye, and he ruled with an iron fist. And then the New Testament was like Inky. Inky came down and was like, no, no, I created you. Everything's good. So
Yeah.
that story uh, of they're different is in a lot of things. So cool that it's in Gnosticism, honestly, because here's another one
Yeah.
saying it's two different people.
Yeah. And in reference, the Nag Hammadi texts are Gnostic texts, or Gnostic inspired texts, I should say, that I would implore anybody to further read into if they're interested in the subject at all, because that's one of the most popular, and it rivals in significance to the Dead Sea Scrolls, actually,
Wow.
in Abrahamic lore and religion, I should say.
Yeah.
And I did mention Liber Lilith, and the only reason why I mentioned it is because in the beginning of the actual book, it's very Gnostic inspired. It's kind of Donald Tyson's own spin-off of it. It includes Barbello, some other characters. So yeah.
I love
Oh,
I love I
speaking of which, No, actually, I want you to because you love something. So let's hear it before I go into something.
I love Donald Tyson. I love Donald Tyson. I love Donald Tyson. I do. Everything that guy writes, I love. His two Necronomicons, the Necronomicon and then the 13 Gates of the Necronomicon. I loved it. I read them both like in a night. It's such an easy read, and
Mm.
he's full of excitement and just man, he just gets you. He can get you. You get glued to that
He's a
guy.
good writer.
He really is. He's fantastic. No, I did not mean to interrupt you. I just want to prop out Donald Tyson.
No, you're good. I'm debating whether saying it on the podcast or saying it on FaceTime, but I guess I'll say it on the podcast.
Say it.
Um, Donald Tyson is sounds like he's doing a third edition on Liber Lilith,
Wow.
which is crazy because like the last time like he wrote was like, well, I shouldn't say wrote, but the last edition of Liber Lilith was like 2008. So we're talking like what?
He's got like
I'm not gonna
another.
do math, but
He's got.
that's like 15 years
So yeah, he literally has like that's good. That means he's got stuff to add,
potentially,
right?
or it's just in popular demand. We'll
Or is it?
see. We'll see.
Yeah.
I'm excited for it. I'm about to buy 5 copies.
There you go.
It's supposed to be coming out in the near future. So
You know, that's great. Yeah. I love that. There's a lot of occult writers nowadays. Let's go, let's switch gears. Well, we're not switching gears, let's head back. So what's the connection then with Gnosticism and Christianity? Because they're highly connected. I mean, they're big time connected. So do you know where that came in? Because Gnosticism doesn't speak about Christ, does it? It's always about
well,
God from what I read.
yeah, in some sects it talks about
Sure. Yeah, it
of
branches all
Christ,
over. Yeah.
how he came down and he was a spiritual teacher about like kind of enlightenment within yourself, and he was kind of like against, you know, Yahweh in a sense, or the lesser God. But a lot of it is kind of just off-brand Christianity. And I don't mean to put it down like that, but it's just kind of like a spin-off of Christianity.
Hmm.
You got something that's going rampant all over the area at the time, and
Yeah, yeah.
there's obviously going to be spin-offs. So
Yeah, it's so tough to know what's going on, you know. If there was well, let's before I go here, let's go back. Let's go there. So this Barbello and Seth and Sophia, can you reach out to these people? Do they have sigils? Do they have is there ways to reach these guys? Do you know that? I don't know anything about them.
uh,
Or is it just
potentially,
or is it
so
just lore that's been passed down like Sumerian things where no
so
one's
I'm not
no
gonna
one's built it, right?
yeah, so I'm not gonna say that it's just lore, but there isn't like a step-by-step guide on how to like contact Barbello.
Right. There's not a
But
grimoire or anything for them.
correct. But in the early days, you know, the 200 AD and, you know, around that area, Barbello was considered very significant to where there was worshippers of Barbello,
Wow.
from what I've read. So it's not that like they aren't out of reach, but it's not like they have like sigils or something that's very material. It's more of it's kind of like how Christianity God is. You know, you're just kind of worshiping, and from what I understand, I mean maybe I'm wrong. So
So, well, when
from what
did
I know.
do we know? I don't know the answer to this, but like, well, when did Christianity get popular? If it was, if not, Gnosticism is still running wild, and that's 200 after death. Well, I suppose back then there's no internet, so it's going to take a long time for word to travel, right?
Yeah, because I don't know the timeline. I haven't studied up on it. I
No,
don't want to
I have.
misquote myself,
Right.
so I'm going to give a rough estimate here. It in the beginning of Jesus, you know, after AD after death. So there was a lot of persecution
Yep.
of the Christian faith because Rome was essentially God,
Right.
right? But there was somebody that adopted it,
Right.
and said, you know what, Christianity is actually not that bad, and that's when it like boomed, like it was enforced, right?
Yeah, it was
The
a
Roman Catholic Church.
yeah, it was an empire, or there was a. I'm so sorry, not an empire. It was like one of those uh I don't know what I'm saying, like a Neo or a Julius Caesar. It was one of those guys that said, "Oh yeah, this is the way," and it boomed like some Roman king or whatever they were.
Emperor.
An
Emperor,
emperor,
yeah.
an emperor. Yeah, there you go, emperor. Great band, emperor. Yeah, the other piece of that is, and I get it. This is why it took so long, because if there was a guy today walking around with 12 people saying I'm the way, he'd be shot and killed. I mean, it would be a cult.
Mhm.
It would be a cult. People would be like, "Oh, this isn't right," and the government would just kill him and all of his people.
Yeah.
So that's where the persecution began. These people, they already believe in what they believe in. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And so
Mhm.
people don't like change. It's crazy how Christianity went through and just ravaged everything. Well, they did it by force, a lot of countries. But
Yeah, it had a pretty brutal history.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It'd be interesting to look up like more on Seth and Sophia, and like, the earlier you go back, the more accurate it probably is, right? So
Yeah.
we talked about this before. Remember remember the whole exercise of, okay, there's a line of people, and the first guy whispers into the ear of the next person, and he says,
Mhm.
by noon, the cats are going to be meowing. And then by the time it gets down the line, the last guy says, raccoon hats and eye patches. And
Mhm.
yeah, and it's every single time they do that experiment, it works. And they did it at school assemblies when I went to school.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that just tells you how the more a religion or a sect or a group goes on, how much it can change. So, for example, and
Yep.
I don't want to get into Freemasonry, but the Freemasonry from Ohio is completely different than New Mexico, because one, it you know it started on the East Coast and then kind of made its way, and then when you do
Mhm.
that, it changes, and then through time it changes,
Mhm.
and there's a huge difference in the two. No, it's not that it's right,
Mhm.
wrong, or indifferent, but it's the same thing with everything. So I would
Yeah.
say that's why I always go back to Sumerian, because it's like, hey, I got to get the original thing, you know.
Mhm.
So I was into the Gnosticism thing because it was early. It's an early belief,
Mhm.
right? Right. It's like before a lot of things, or right when there's a lot going on. That was kind of the belief right then. But
Mhm.
again, remember how we were talking about how ironic it was that the Canaanite deities had lived on and lived through that, and they still
Mhm.
live today, where I don't know Seth, Sophia, and whoever. Like that's gone, bro. Like you had to dig for that, I imagine. I never even heard of that. I know Seth. I don't know Sophia or
There, so yeah, so there's a lot of Gnostics that subscribe to that belief. It's not
sure.
necessarily
Well,
lost. It's just people who
yeah, no,
subscribe to a particular belief.
I didn't mean
But
like I meant like you have to kind of dig for. I'm not saying it's not right or they don't believe. I'm just saying I got a lot of
that's true.
information.
But you
I
could
don't run it.
also, but you could also, you have to dig in anything, right?
Sure,
So like
sure,
when you're a Christian, you dig into demons, but then you dig into, well, maybe they're fallen angels. Oh, maybe they're not fallen angels. Maybe they're older gods. You keep digging, you keep finding.
true. That's true.
But
That is very true. Yeah, that's a good statement.
but yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Identity. of Lucifer is a very good book.
Is that a
The
new
true
one?
identity of no, the true. It's not new, but it's a book that's pretty thick, but it goes into depth on a lot of different gods and different entities and how they relate with like past entities, and it's connecting all of them.
Do you have it?
Yeah, yeah.
Can you put it up to the camera?
Well, I'd have to go get it, but I mean, I guess
Well, that'd be cool. It'd just be cool. I'll
just
talk.
keep talking to him.
I will. I'll talk to the people. I'll talk to the people. King 810 out of Flint, Michigan. I'm from Toledo, Ohio. I don't live there anymore. King 810. They're out of Flint. They had a rough one. Support them. Anyway, he's back. He's back. He's back. I've never heard of the book. I just want to see it so I understand what it is because I don't know who that is. Who's the author?
It's Samuel Medisico.
Oh, cool. Let me see. That's and many other pagan deities that you want to. Oh, very good. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
It's like a thick
It is thick.
exploration. Talks about Inky, Canaanite, Torah.
He's got
It goes
Inky in
into
there.
it. Yeah.
Wow.
So
You know, it's crazy. They think Inky, his Egyptian name was Ptah, 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 and Ptah ruled for like 20,000 years, bro. What? Get out of here. It's that whole interstellar theory. Do you ever see Interstellar? Where they went down that
mhm.
planet with water and they went right back up and it's been like 80 years. Like the dude's already like old. Like they left a guy, they went
Yeah.
down for an hour and came back and like it's wild. So anyway, we don't want to get on. I don't want to get on that. But if someone's gonna rule for
Yeah.
20,000 like human years, that's you got something going on. You figured something out.
Yeah. It's true. It's true.
Uh
For sure.
the timer has kicked. The timer has kicked. We are running out of time. I want to give a shout out, and it's well due for this guy. And I want to do a shout out for him because it's our 20th episode. And this dude been with us the whole time, helping us with what we screwed up, helping us with his comments and helping with our show and supporting us and telling us we're doing good and telling us he wants another one. That's Mark. And I just want to thank Mark right now for being there and supporting us and always leaving a comment. And he roots us on. And he also
Mhm.
says, hey, corrects. And because we always say, hey, we need some help here. Dude always helps. I'm a fan, and I want to shout out to that guy. Love you, and help us out when we need you. Love it. He should be a guest on the show. We should bring
Mhm.
him on. Guy's he's sharp as a tack. Sharp as a tack.
Mhm.
I like the guy. I love that. We need, the guy throw in, you know, love it. He's
Mhm.
part, he's part
Yep.
of it. He wants,
20 episodes. He's been there. He's been there since day one.
he's been there since day one. He's still there. It was just time to give that guy a shout out. I love that guy. Yeah. Just really well done. And he writes really well. Just really good guy. He knows the occult really well too. Can't say he doesn't. And it's nice to have someone who supports us, and it's nice to have someone that corrects us. And because sometimes we're like, I think I read this, or maybe we said that. And yeah, it's great to have that guy on board. So Mark, reach out to us if you want to be a guest on the show. It'd be great. Otherwise, keep loving us and keep commenting because we love that. I thought this was a good show. At first we kind of went off on some different branches, but I think if anyone, hopefully Mark comments on this, but hopefully, you think that Gnosticism, it really, there's a lot. I always felt like it was a lot. When I was YouTubing some stuff and I was looking at the books and I was kind of researching online, and I've heard of it already. I like, I've heard about it and kind of what it was, but you really start digging into it. It's big. It's big.
Mhm.
Really, I mean, there's a lot of
Yeah.
rabbit holes to go down with it. This is a good. So this was a good episode. I'm gonna just end it here. I'm gonna kick it to you to summarize. Um, Episode 20, Gnosticism. Crazy start. I think we met at the end there. I think this is a good episode. Shout out to Mark. And yeah, sum it up, dude. Sum it up, G.
Yeah, it was a good episode. I didn't know
Yeah.
a lot about it. So the beauty about, this YouTube channel and kind of what we're doing is, we know a lot about certain things and we know less about others, but we're trying to kind of bring it to light. And even if we don't know everything, we're continuously diving, researching, and getting better. And that's why,
Yeah.
we like subscribers like, for instance, Mark, that kind of corrects us and it's kind of there to provide info and provide information, because he knows a lot about stuff that we don't. And
That's great. Well,
that's the
so
beauty about.
that was the, I don't mean to interrupt you. I don't mean to interrupt you on the summary, but like that was the point of the show, was to get together and start
Mhm.
talking about the occult and get occultists kind of on the same page. And let's all talk and be a group and let's all teach each other and learn. And Mark is definitely part of that, which is
Yeah.
absolutely fantastic. I love the guy. So yeah, yeah, good show. I'm
Yeah.
so sorry I stole that from you.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
I'm
fine.
sorry.
I'll
I don't know.
conclude episode 20.
Episode
Episode 20 was a good one.
20? Man. So before we go, uh, do you think there's an avenue for another show where we get into depth with Seth, Sophia? We get into those
I mean,
deities. Or
potentially this was more of an introduction
correct, correct. It
of
was more of,
Gnosticism.
yeah, an occultist would read that word and say, well, what is that? Right?
Mhm.
Demiurge. Quite interesting. All right. I don't know if I'm going to do pizza or not. I'm still debating. I don't know. Chick-fil-A sounded pretty good for Friday night. All right, G.
Good for you, G.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, no, yeah. Hey, good episode. It was awesome
Mhm.
seeing you. Um, I will download and shoot it to you as soon as I can. Everybody hit us up in the comments. I know Mark will. Love that guy. And then of course, the email, Gnashing of Teeth podcast at Gmail. It's not quite a podcast yet. Anyway, that's the email. I'll check it, and then Mal and I'll do an episode and knock those questions out. All right, G, I'm gonna let you go.
All right. All right. See ya.